Today, we are diving deep into some really powerful ideas from Dr. Shad Helmstetter's book, What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. We're going to break down his entire framework for, well, first understanding why we get so stuck, and then how we can use very specific language to literally reprogram our own minds for success. So let's jump right in.
You know that feeling? You set a brand new goal, you're fired up, you're super motivated, and then maybe a week later, you're right back where you started. It is so frustrating, right? It feels like you're in a fight with some invisible force, and in a way you are. But that force isn't something out there, it's actually coming from inside your own head.
So here's our roadmap. First, we'll look at the self-help puzzle. Why so much good advice just doesn't seem to stick. Then, we'll uncover your brain's hidden program. After that, we'll trace the self-management sequence to see how that program creates your reality. Then comes the fun part, learning the 5 levels of self-talk. And finally, we'll get a practical plan for reprogramming your mind.
We've all been there, right? You read an incredible book, you go to some motivational seminar, and you walk out feeling like you can take on the world. But that kind of motivation, well, it's a bit like a sugar rush. It feels great for a little while, but then it fades, and you're hungry again. So what's the missing piece of the puzzle here?
Here's the thing. The problem isn't the advice. According to Dr. Helmstetter, the ideas in these books are often fantastic. The issue is that they're just temporary fixes for what is actually a permanent problem. See, we keep trying to change our actions without ever addressing the deep-seated programming that's running the show. We've totally overlooked the most important rule. If you want change to last, you have to do it the way the brain is actually designed to work.
So what is this internal controller that keeps yanking us back to our old habits? Well, the book gives us a really powerful way to think about it. Imagine your brain is a computer, and it's been getting programmed since the moment you were born. Seriously, just think about that for a second. Your subconscious mind, it doesn't really have an opinion, it doesn't know right from wrong, it just does what it's told. It executes commands. So the directions you've been feeding it, whether you realize it or not, have become its operating system. And here's the kicker. Most of that programming, you didn't even write it yourself.
Get ready for this number because it's a big one. By the time we hit 18, we have heard no or been told what we can't do an average of 148,000 times. Wow! Think of those as little seeds of self-doubt. All those you can't do that messages getting planted deep in our subconscious, and they grow into the very foundation of what we believe about ourselves.
And all that external programming eventually creates our internal reality. According to the research in the book, that early conditioning leads to this mind-blowing statistic. Over 3/4 of our own thoughts are negative and actively working against our best interests. We've basically been programmed from the start not to succeed.
This is a brilliant way to understand why just thinking positive doesn't work. Imagine your mind is like an apartment, and it's filled with all this old, broken-down furniture you inherited. That's all your negative programming. Trying to think positively is like buying one nice new chair and sticking it in the middle of that mess. The room is still a disaster, right? The solution isn't just to add more stuff, it's to haul out all the old junk and completely replace it with new furniture you actually chose.
Okay, so we've got all this old programming running in the background. But how does that translate into our actual day-to-day results? Well, the book lays out this super clear, step-by-step chain of events. It's called the self-management sequence. It all starts with the programming, right? Those 148,000 no's create our core beliefs about who we are and what's possible for us. Those beliefs then color our attitudes, our whole outlook on life. Our attitudes then generate our feelings, which, well, they directly determine our actions. And finally, our actions create our results. So you see, if you want to change your results, you can't just try to change your actions. You have to go all the way back to the beginning and change the programming itself.
And that brings us to the actual tool we can use to make that change happen. If we're going to rewrite our brain's code, we need a new programming language, and that language is called self-talk. And it turns out there are 5 distinct levels to it. Some of them work against you, and some of them work for you.
Now, let's be super clear here. Self-talk is not just wishful thinking or saying a few happy thoughts. It is a very precise, very conscious technique. It's about feeding your brain new, word-for-word directions to replace that old, default code that's been running things your entire life.
So the first 2 levels are the ones most of us are stuck in without even knowing it. Level I is just straight-up negative acceptance. And level 2 is this really subtle trap. The real power, the real change, starts at level 3, and it gets supercharged at level 4.
There's a level 5 too, but it's more about universal connections, so we're going to focus on these first 4 for now.
Level I is the voice of defeat. It's the I can't, I'm just not good at this, it's pointless. When you say something like this, your subconscious brain hears a direct order. Goal, do not lose weight. It doesn't argue. It just gets to work making that your reality.
Okay, now level 2 is the really sneaky one. It sounds kind of positive, doesn't it? I should really eat healthier. But what's the hidden message there? But I'm not. It recognizes that there's a problem, but it just reinforces the fact that you aren't solving it, which only creates guilt and keeps you stuck. Now this is where things start to shift. Level 3 is the first level that actually works for you. When you say, I no longer or I never, you are stating a firm decision as if it's already a fact right now in the present. You're giving your brain a brand new command, a new reality to start building from this moment forward.
And this is the ultimate goal. Level 4 self-talk is the most powerful programming you can possibly give yourself. It's not about what you're trying to stop doing, it's about declaring who you are. So instead of I'm terrible with names, it becomes I have a great memory. You are painting a detailed, positive picture of your new identity and handing it to your subconscious and saying, this is who we are now, make it happen.
Okay, so we get it. We understand the problem, we see the whole sequence, and we have the tool. The last piece of this puzzle is, how do we actually do it? How do we start using this right now to make real, lasting change in our lives?
It all starts with one simple step. Just start listening to yourself. When you catch yourself using those level I or level 2 words, I can't, I wish, I should, just stop. There's no reason to say them anymore. Then you consciously replace them. You can start with a level 3 decision like, I no longer procrastinate. And then you start building your own library of level 4 statements. I am productive, focused, and I always finish what I start.
The biggest takeaway from Dr. Helmstetter's work is this. You are not stuck with the programming you were given as a kid. Your thoughts are not set in stone. You have the power to consciously and deliberately give your brain new directions. You can become your own programmer, your own best coach. And that is the only kind of motivation that ever truly lasts.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with one question to really think about. What's that one nagging program? That one I can't or I'm not that's been running in the background holding you back? Because just recognizing it is the first step. And now you have the tools to start writing some brand new code.